Shaman. Alright, let's do this. 3, 2, 1. Hey guys, welcome to the Grinning Go Lightforge card
Wow, you
review.
sound like shit.
We're reviewing Rogue now. It's been 7 hours since we
No,
started
Shaman,
streaming.
Shaman.
We're
We're
reviewing Shaman now. It's been 7 hours since we started streaming. The bunny's already missed a meal, and she is letting me know that she is not happy about it. Well, we've been streaming so long, I couldn't feed her.
How long does it take you to feed a bunny?
I wanted to keep streaming. I'll feed her after. I'll feed her after we're done with the stream.
Dude, okay. All right, let's get through this quick. All right, we're talking about Shaman. Do you seem to be low energy? You take a small breather, okay?
Oof.
Now, we're going to talk about Shaman. And Shaman is one of those classes in which I think it's fair in that if we're talking about over bucketing, under bucketing, you're going to see a lot of fair cards with Shaman. Let's go with the first card, though. We're starting with the second bucket, and it's crazy because I know we've been starting with like the fourth bucket for a lot of classes.
Not that the cards should be in the fourth bucket. We've just been starting in the fourth bucket.
We've been starting there, right? So we have Menacing Nimbus. Menacing Nimbus is a card that is a 2-mana 2/2 elemental. Battlecry, add a random elemental to your hand. This card is amazing.
Oh my god.
This card is super good. So we have this card at a 152.
That's better than a Bone Mare.
Yeah.
In Shaman.
It's really good. Now, they have it in the second bucket. It's not egregious, but if they moved it to the first bucket, we'd be like, okay, we can see how it's in the first bucket as well, right? So this is a good value card. It's not, once again, egregiously misbucketed, but you can definitely get some value here by picking it whenever you see it.
So this next card is in the same bucket as Menacing Nimbus, and it is a Voltaic Burst. For 1 mana, overload 1, you can summon 2 1/1 Sparks with Rush. So you're getting like 2 damage that you can split however you want for 2 mana, and it's a second bucket card according to Blizzard. Now, I don't blame them for misbucketing this so hard. Like, a lot of cards. And, like, if they were in my mental state right now when they were bucketing this card, things could happen. Like, who knows what Blizzard was doing when this was happening. But one thing is for sure, which is that this is not a complicated card and it is heavily misbucketed. So it's just going to be fixed very soon because people are not going to take it. And the ones that do will lose a lot.
Do not take this card. Yeah, it's just not good enough. And second bucket is, we have a lot of good cards in here, right? It's going up against Lightning Storm. It's going up against the Menacing Nimbus. You take those cards every time. Okay. We move on to the third bucket. We have Thunderhead. 4 mana.
Thunderhead.
Yeah. 4 mana for a 3/5 elemental. After you play a card with Overload, summon 2 1/1 Sparks with Rush. That's a free Voltaic Burst.
One of the best cards in the Shaman release for Boomsday.
Yeah. So Voltaic, Thunderhead we have at a 128. So this is, we think, appropriately bucketed. It's a good card. You're gonna pick this, right? Like, this is a good card for the third bucket as well. It's not just a good card. It is a good card for the third bucket. Overload is, like, somewhat common, and whenever you do overload, man, that is huge value, right? You immediately get 2 damage on the board. So that's really good. Plus, it's an elemental. Elementals are really good in Shaman. So quite a good third bucket card.
Yep. That it is. So let's look at the fourth bucket now. So Shamans has some pretty good options right now, and it's like all elemental-y, which is nice, because we know that there's this Earthen Might card that's heavily misbucketed from last expansion, and they didn't move it. I don't know why, but they didn't move it. It's still in like the 5th bucket or 6th bucket or whichever, probably 5th bucket. And it's one of the best Shaman cards, so this is going to be really good for this elemental Shaman thing. Next card, let's go to Omega Mind. Omega Mind is a 102 score card, which makes it about a Yeti, and it is 2 mana, 2/3. Okay. And it has a battle cry that says if you have 10 mana crystals, you know, Omega, your spells have lifesteal this turn. So you have to have a spell, gotta deal damage, and then you gain a little bit of life. Like, this is like the priest one, but with a condition.
Yeah.
And you're not gonna get as much life as you think. So it's like, why is this an Omega card? It's not very Omega-y. And that's why it's not very good. But it's still better than a normal Croc, you know? And you know, 102 for the 4th bucket. I think that's okay.
It's fairish. It's fair. It's not one of the best cards, but it's more than fair. Anyways, afterwards we have Storm Chaser. Storm Chaser is a 4 mana 3/4 elemental. Battlecry, draw a spell from your deck that costs 5 or more. So, you are giving up 1/1 worth of stats. And once again, when I first saw this, I was like, wow, this is really, really good. But part of the problem is, once again, Shaman only has 5 spells, period, that cost 5 or more. So you need one of these spells in your deck, and you can't have drawn it yet. Volcano is the one everyone's thinking about, but you're not going to have a Volcano in every single deck.
Especially now with the 12.0 offering odds.
Exactly. So, and there's Volcano, and then afterwards, the only common ones that you might even have are Bloodlust, because the other ones are the Stormbringer, which is a legendary spell, Eureka, which is not a good spell, and Spellstone, which is not a good spell. So you're really just going for the Volcano, because Bloodlust is not going to be super common either. Although Bloodlust is going to be a decent card because of the meta. So Storm Chaser is a card in which I think it seems like better than it is, because you're like, whoa, I just get to draw a big card. But your chance of drawing a big card is not that big because of the number of big cards that Shaman is going to have.
Heavily deck dependent, but you know, another
it's
elemental.
Very deck dependent, right? So Storm Chaser could be one of those things in which you look at it and say like, oh wow, like the Lightforge has a 100, but it's so good for my deck. That
totally possible.
True.
Like,
totally possible.
If you have like 2 Volcanoes and a Bloodlust, it's like an amazing card.
Yeah.
Like we're talking like, you know, tier 1.
Yep. Okay.
Next card, we're gonna go down a bit. We're gonna go to the 6 bucket. And this is gonna be one of those cards that shouldn't be in the 6 bucket. And it shouldn't be in the 6 bucket because it is decent. Like probably like 3rd bucket, maybe, worth. It's 2 mana, elementary reaction, draw a card, copy it if you played an elemental last turn. So 2 mana draw a card is just not terrible. It's bad, but it's not terrible. And then all you have to do is play an elemental last turn, and you will have a lot of elementals, especially because all the new cards are elementals. And you still have that Earthen Might that is heavily underbucketed in the arena. That gives you more elementals and triggers on elementals. So yeah, you could possibly draw 2 cards for 2 mana. You will probably draw 2 cards for 2 mana. You just got to set it up a little.
You just save it, right? Yeah. This is really good. Once again, another card in which you can extract a ton of value, because much better than a 6 bucket card should be. Okay. All right. So we move on to the
7th bucket.
Yeah, we're really in the doldrums now. First card is Eureka, one of those cards that I talked about that is 5 or more mana. Eureka costs 6 mana. Summon a copy of a random minion from your hand.
No.
Just bad. It's really, really bad.
Like, how many large minions are you really going to have in your hand? And then you got to play out all your other minions before you use this. And then you save, like, 1 or 2 mana. Like, way too conditional.
Yep. Okay. And then we have...
can I do this?
Oh, sure. Do it.
I love this card. Great design. 0 mana, overload 2, deal 1 damage to all minions. So it's a whirlwind, except it costs twice as much as a whirlwind. And you're a shaman. So you have random totems and small things on your board, a lot more than a warrior does. And you don't have synergies with hitting your own stuff. So, yeah. And if by any chance you happen to get an air totem at any point, before, you can't play this card anymore without killing all your totems, period. I don't know what the design of this card is, but it's really, really, really interesting. Not good. You don't take it, but it's interesting.
Yeah. And you overload a lot.
Alright. So that's Shaman. I think it's decent.
Yeah, Shaman's fine. It's pretty fair, right? You get your value with stuff like Menacing Nimbus and Elementary Reaction, and it introduced like a decent amount of elementals, so it's good. You're not getting the huge value that you're getting with like Paladin, for example, but Shaman it got some good cards, and it's pretty fair.
Yeah, let's look at the legendaries. 2 legendaries. These are good. These are really
good.
And they're bucketed in like the middle bucket for some reason, not the top bucket. They're like very obviously good.
So let's talk about the minion first. Electra Storm Surge, 3 mana for a 3/3 elemental. It's still elemental. Battlecry, your next spell this turn casts twice. This is just a really good card. We have it at a 151, which would mean that you could put this in the first bucket, the top bucket from legendaries, and it would still be fair. It's just really good. It's something that you can play normally, and it's an elemental, so it's already kind of worth it. Or you can hold on to it, and when you trigger this, the trigger is super good.
Yeah, like really, there's so many random like cycle cards, right? Or like draw for Shaman, or like draw a card, like stuff. And that would just make this a 3 mana 3/3, get an extra card. Like, not to mention, like, if you actually do it with like a really good spell, like a Bloodlust, or like what do you call it?
Lightning Storm.
Lightning Storm, yeah.
Yep. Okay, so the legendary spell for Shaman is the Stormbringer. 7 mana.
That's what you want to do it with.
Yeah, double, like frog into frog.
Frog into frog. All right.
Stormbringer,
Earthenlight. Good call, guys.
Earthenlight is really good. Yeah. Transform your minions into random legendary minions for 7 mana. You can create totems. You can create a board. There's lots of small things
totem on the
going
same
around.
turn, and you
can
should.
totem on the same turn. Exactly. So Stormbringer, we have it at a 162, which would place it as the second best legendary available to Shamans. Basically, below Lich King, but we're saying that other than the Lich King, the Stormbringer is just the best legendary pick. But it's not in the first bucket, is in the second bucket. So it basically means you should pick this every single time because of the extreme value sort of like disparity between the Stormbringer and all of the other legendaries, because it's just really freaking good. Like, yes, it's random, and you guys know that we penalize random cards or random effects
a lot,
but you can't deny how good this thing is.
Yeah, well, that's Shaman. It's a pretty interesting set. I think Shaman players will have a lot to look forward to, and it's a lot of pieces that complement your other pieces that already exist. So it's good, but again, right, not very random. And this is Shaman. Like, this is how not random Boomsday is, that they made a bunch of Shaman cards and it's not random. So the other classes are going to be even less random. That's it for Shaman. We're going to do Warlock next, and then finish up with Warrior, and then a class tier list. So let's do it. We'll see you in Warlock. This is Oddwicta.
This is Merp. See you in the next segment.
Woo!
So this is one.